mythology was a hobby. Medicine was what I studied. Then I joined the pharma industry. But then I used to write a lot in my free time about mythology, and I realized this is what people are looking for more and more.
Yeah.
And the demand for mythology was very high, because I used to not just tell the stories, which normally even today people do. I'm not interested in the story. I'm interested in the idea which is inside the story.
That's
and
right.
I realized these ideas are very different from what is conventional wisdom.
Yeah.
So what is considered to be conventional wisdom and what the scriptures and the stories are telling are very, very different. The word ahimsa definitely is found in the Vedas. That's no question about it. But the question is, what did it mean? The meaning of it is very different. The word itself is definitely Vedic. But what does it mean is a complex issue. Whatever you cook, you feed for others. You have to feed other people. And that's the solution to violence. So this is the first very clear story where violence is being discussed in the space of consumption. That every time you consume something, you will kill something. And the only way to escape this dharma sankat is by feeding other people. So emerges in the Buddhist and Jain text as a saying that please don't kill animals. So that is a different form of violence being discussed purely with animals in consideration. And then ahimsa reappears in the Ramayana and Mahabharata, especially the Mahabharata, in the context of war and whether war is good or bad. So you find different ways. The Vedic violence is based on consumption. The Buddhist and Jain violence is about specifically killing of wild animals, basically, but not plants. They're not talking about plants so much, but they're talking about don't kill living creatures. And the definition of living creatures is four-legged animals, two-legged animals, but not plants. And then when it comes to Mahabharata, war has now become about violence in the battlefield, which is, Mahabharata or the Buddhist Ashoka's edicts talked about the violence of kitchen and the violence of the battlefield. So he abuses his brother. Then he says, oh, I've abused my brother, I've killed my brother, I want to now kill myself. So Krishna says, oh, that's very simple. Start praising yourself. Say how wonderful you are, how brilliant you are, how outstanding you are, and that is equal to committing suicide. So this story from the Mahabharata transforms hinsa and ahimsa into a psychological game. But we also know that on a day-to-day level, psychological violence is also happening. So when we talk about violence, we have to talk about physical violence, we have to talk about psychological violence. And the third violence that we should talk about is the violence of consumption. Every time, and this is the spiritual conversation that the Jains brought to the table. The Jains were the first one who said, every time you consume something, you kill something. The act of consumption is hinsa. Himsa is cruelty. At this foundational level, it's being nasty.
Different forms, in many forms.
Yeah, in many, at a very basic human relation, when I'm talking to you, it costs me nothing to be nice.
Yeah. Very good.
It costs me nothing to be nice, and yet you will see people being snobbish and rude and with their staff, with their employees, forget about strangers, with their own people, with their own family members, unnecessarily cruel, because you see, when you're cruel, you feel powerful. You feel that's consumption. We don't see that. Cruelty is consumption.
Wow.
So let me explain psychological violence, because why am I snobbish? Why am I cruel? Why am I nasty? Because I feel powerful. You think, मैं बड़ा हूं, तू छोटा है. And this is hinsa. Because Draupadi was abused, and therefore she wants her hair to be washed with the blood of the Kauravas. And everybody thinks it's a very feminist statement. They'll say, oh, she killed all the people who abused her. And that's violence, and that's justified violence. So now they'll create a new category of violence called justified violence. What they don't say is the Mahabharata is very, very clear that at the end of the Mahabharata war, while the Kauravas are killed and she washes her hair with the blood and ties it, she also loses her 5 children and her 5 children's head. So violence begets violence is what Vyasa is saying. Yes, you got your justice, but you also lost your children. You paid the price for your thirst for violence. This is the worst translation of dharma, to be right. And that is why dharma is not about being right. It is about nourishing people. Are you nourishing or are you being right? So I would rather translate dharma as nourishment. And the word nourishment is much better than righteousness. So a young person has to ask, how do I nourish people? Samavad is when combat is replaced by curiosity. I want to know, why do you disagree with me? I'm interesting. You're an intelligent person. Why do you disagree with me? What is the difference in our thoughts of you? And now I understand some new way of thinking. Oh, they are thinking like that. Therefore, they don't agree with me. Now, I don't have to agree with them at all, but I'm just understanding a different point of view. That's what is manthan. Manthan is you have to move in both directions. A churning rope moves in both directions. I give an why churning is important. Please think, nowadays nobody does but churning. But nowadays left and right are busy slapping each other because that's what is happening. But in churning, the left and right have to work together. Word shastrartha means decoding the meaning of the shastra. But now people are calling it debate. Debate is not शास्त्रार्थ. शास्त्रार्थ is शास्त्र का मंथन करके उसका अर्थ निकालना. Removing the butter of meaning from the ocean of the scriptures.
Yeah.
But I think we need to understand Ahimsa and Ahimsa at a very deeper level. And our scriptures explain this very beautifully.